Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Jeremy. Welcome to Polyphonic Press. And today I'm going to be continuing with my series of albums that I really didn't get to in the past year. And today I'm going to be reviewing R.E.M's Collapse Into Now. Now R.E.M are an alternative band. They've been around for about 30 years. They weren't really gaining any success until about 1991 when they broke through with their big hit Losing My Religion, and since then they've consistently put out albums. And in September they announced that they would be splitting up. Unfortunately, I never got a chance to see them live. Always wanted to, but that's just the way it goes, I guess. So for all intents and purposes, this is their final album. And it starts off with a song called Discoverer, and this was actually the first single to be released from the album, and it's pretty good representation of the rest of the song. It's fairly anthemic, especially when you get to the chorus, and it's sort of uplifting and fairly positive song. I can certainly see why they chose this to be the first single from the album. It really sets up the album nicely and lets you know what you're going to get into for the rest of the record. Oh My Heart was another single that was released from the album, and what's really cool about it is it's more acoustic based, but it has an accordion accompanying on the melody, and it really fits this song nicely because it's really a kind of slower, and it really just has these sort of sustained notes on the accordion that really set the mood very well on this song. The vocal performance from Michael Stipe really reminded me of Nick Cave, not necessarily the timbre or the tone of his voice, but the phrasing is really reminiscent of Nick Cave from like The Good Son or something like that, from those early 90s albums when he was sort of softening his sound a little bit and doing more acoustic based stuff. And I can only guess that that was an inspiration for this song. The song It Happened Today is a standout for me. It's probably my favorite song on the album, and the reason for that is it has my favorite instrument combination, which is the acoustic and the electric guitar, distorted electric guitar. I don't know why, but I've always been a fan of this combination. It just sounds good to me, and it's a really great pop song, and because it has those contrasting elements, it's really counterpoint at its finest. And one thing that's really cool too is it has a nice string section that really fits in perfectly, and it doesn't overpower the song. It's just subtle, and you can barely notice it until you're listening for it. The song Mine Smells Like Honey really picks up the album when it needs to, and it's a really great rocker. It really reminds me of like classic R.E.M. You know, the song that first comes to mind when I hear this is What's the Frequency, Kenneth? You know, back in the 90s, there was a time when alternative rock was putting out like softer, sort of more laid-back music. Really between grunge and post-grunge, there was this section in about 1995 where you had bands like Dishwalla, the Wallflowers, you know, bands like that were sort of putting out more softer music, but still had a bit of an edge to it as well. And this song really harkens back to that. And R.E.M were big in that era, so it's really more or less them. The thing that I found interesting on this song in particular is it has some really nice harmony vocals coming from Mike Mills, and I always like the sound of Michael Stipe and Mike Mills singing together. The song That Someone Is You is pretty different from the rest of the record. It's short, fast, and punchy. It really is like a classic punk rock song, and it really only clocks in at about like a minute and a half. It's pretty short, but it really just gets straight to the point and then doesn't stick around for anything else. There's no bullshit or anything like that. It's just the straight point to the song, and then it leaves. And that's really cool and admirable. And it's really one thing I found interesting, it didn't mess with the flow of the album. The album still flowed nicely, even though this song sort of pops up and it's different. The pacing is still there, and it doesn't mess with it too much. It is kind of different and a bit of a surprise, but because it's so short, it doesn't stick around for too long, and you sort of get back into the normal routine of the album. And speaking of different songs, the album closes with a song called Blue, and cool thing is it features Patti Smith, but what's really different is it has all these weird sounds going on, and it has Michael Stipe doing this sort of spoken word, and there's this really distorted effect going on his vocals, and it kind of sounds like he's in an alleyway or something outside doing the spoken word type of thing. And then Patti Smith is singing this melody over top of it, so it's hard to grasp what exactly is going on, because you sort of pay attention to what Michael Stipe is saying, and then you sort of pay attention to Patti Smith, but you can't really focus on both of them at the same time, even though they're both doing their thing at the same time. I don't know if this was a good thing to put on the album. I mean, yeah, it's really cool and I really like it, but to fit on the album is kind of hard. But at the same time, if it weren't on the album, nobody would be able to hear it. So it's debatable about whether it should be on the album or not. Honestly, I'm on the fence on this one. I do like it, but it doesn't really fit in with the rest of the record. But production-wise, this album is pretty well done. It's not lo-fi, it's not over-polished. It sort of falls right in the middle, which is where you want this type of music to be. Everything is mixed pretty well, and you can hear all the instruments pretty clearly. This was a great production job. So I like this album well enough. I don't think it's anything that would be considered like a grand finale for a band, but it has very little weak spots other than the last track. So I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. So anyways, that's what I thought about the album. Let me know what you guys think in the comments or with a video response. Don't forget to check out the Twitter, Facebook, Last.fm, and the website. All of the links are in the description. And if you'd like to suggest an album, let me know in the comments or with a private message. And don't forget to subscribe. That way you'll know when I post a new video. I guess that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.